Hi everyone, Helen London here at Activate Learn on Twitter. It is time for another book review, and first of all I just want to thank you for listening, watching and also posting your comments about how you're finding these reviews. You're probably thinking, how do I get through reading a lot? Well, the thing is, I don't watch that much television, so I do like to read and I do like to keep myself occupied by reading. And a lot of the books that I have been reading have been quite small, so they've been easy to read and easy to do these. Also, if there are books that I don't really get into, I quite easily stop them. So there's nothing forcing me to read books that I don't get into. Now, over the Easter break, I've been madly reading, and I recently finished this one by Vladimir Nabokov called Laughter in the Dark. Now, you might know Vladimir Nabokov as the author who wrote Lolita. Lolita is a book I've not read and not really had any interest to read, but I think now after reading this, I might change my mind. Nabokov was a Russian writer. He was born in 1899 and he died in 1977. And when he wrote this, it was in Russian. He didn't like the translation into English, so he took some time, a very short time, and translated the Russian version into English himself. So he spoke English very well. I don't speak English very well. And I must admit, I wish my Russian was as good as his English. Now, Nabokov wrote Laughter in the Dark in 1938. And in the very first chapter, he pretty much summarizes entirely what this book is about. So you could have just read the first paragraph and kind of put it down and go, right, that is it. So what is this book about? Let me tell you. Once upon a time, there lived in Berlin, Germany, a man called Albinus. He was rich, respectable, happy. One day he abandoned his wife for the sake of a youthful mistress. He loved, was not loved, and his life ended in disaster. And that is what the book is about. Now, you might be thinking, oh God, okay, is this another, man leaves his wife for a younger mistress? Well, yeah, it is. But it's what happens to his life that has been really interesting, and it makes you get into this book very, very quickly. It is so, so readable, and yet there are times where I did feel a bit icky. Icky in the sense that Albinus is a middle-aged man lusting after a young girl by the name of Margot. And in this book, we think that she should be about 17 years old, young, nubile, lovely, naturally, this man wants to have her. And so Albinus, he's a theatre critic, very well liked, he's well respected, he's got a lot of money. He's married to Elizabeth, who is his wife, obviously. And Elizabeth is quite boring to him, but she's a good mother to Irma, his young daughter. He feels as if there's something missing in his life, and he sees Margot at the theatre one day and he just lusts after her. He falls in lust and he just wants to have her, and his life with Elizabeth and Irma is so boring in comparison to what he could have with his young nubile teenager. Can you see why I felt a bit icky reading this? And so he lusts after her, he wants her, and he promises her the world. Now, Margot is a young girl. She's really naive. She comes from a very poor background. She has escaped her poor background, and yet she's not so innocent. She has loved before. She sees an opportunity here to kind of string this guy along, get him to pay her for the things that she wants in her life, the clothes, the furs, the apartments and so forth. And so Albinus gives her an apartment and puts her up there and gives her everything that she wants, but she's never happy. He even gives her a role in a movie with a well-known actress, and yet she's not happy there as well, especially when she sees herself up on the screen. Now, Albinus leaves his wife for her. He's just madly in lust with her, and she strings him along. But throughout this time, Albinus gets to know a guy by the name of Rex, and Rex was a previous lover of Margot, and Margot had just never really gotten over Rex. But Rex and Albinus seem to hit it off, and Albinus keeps inviting Rex to different social activities and even invites him along to a holiday that he and Margot were going on. Little did he know that Margot and Rex start having a relationship together right under Albinus's nose, and he's totally oblivious until one day he's out and about and one of the neighbours from the area asks and inquires about the young lovers and why, where are they, what are they doing? And Albinus then puts two and two together and realises that they're having a relationship from under his nose and he wants to kill her. And so Albinus, a couple of times in the book, had the pistol at the ready to try and shoot Margot because he couldn't fathom this idea of Margot loving someone else or being with someone else. And so what happens is he confronts Margot, and Margot convinces him that that was not the case. He seems to be, Albinus is really oblivious to a lot of things. Things go from bad to worse. In one part of the book, his young daughter, Irma, dies. And he has to go back to the funeral. And he feels, at this stage, we start to think, oh my God, Albinus is getting a backbone. He's going to return. He sees the error of his ways, and yet he doesn't. Now, I'm not going to say what happened in the end, but I must admit, towards the end, the last few chapters of this book, you start to feel sorry for this bloke. There is an accident. There is an accident that you would never have foreseen coming. And Rex and Margot are able to continue their relationship in such a way that becomes torture. I think it's torture. But again, Albinus is oblivious to what they're doing to him. I can't say anything more because I would never have guessed the ending. And it actually, you start to feel sorry for Albinus despite what he did to his wife and his child about leaving them, and how stupid Albinus has been to love this frivolous young woman. Everything goes wrong in his life because of her and this other bloke. But at the same time, you realise that maybe he had it coming. Look, I can't say any more except to say the writing in here is brilliant. It was brilliant. The story itself read like a movie, and especially the last chapter read like the closing page of some script. The people, I didn't like Albinus, but I don't think he deserved what he got. I also didn't like Margot, and yet at the same time really felt compelled as how a young woman was placed in this, was groomed in this situation. So I didn't think that was right either. I despised the Rex character and yet could see how he ingrained himself in there and how he could get himself in this position. I love this book, and I'm going to try and read other of Nabokov's book if it's as good as this book, even though it made me feel icky reading it because of this middle-aged guy lusting over a young girl. Let me know what you think. Have you read any of his other books? Would you suggest I read Lolita, or would you suggest I read something else? I'm more than happy to do either. Vladimir Nabokov, Laughter in the Dark. I don't know who was laughing. I wouldn't be laughing. I'm definitely crying.